we'll get started with this presentation. At the end of this presentation, if you have any questions about HGAC BUY, feel free to put them in the chat, and either Joshua or Nicolette or Lolita or Kristen will answer your questions in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask the questions as soon as we are finished. So we'll start here with a few HGAC BUY facts. Nicolette, I believe when we started, asked where you all were from. I think a lot of you all are from our region today, sounds like, which is new, but I did hear somebody was from Florida. And so that lets you know we are coast to coast. We are nationwide cooperative. Wherever you are, we can be, as long as you're in the United States of America. We are contractor funded, which means for our members, you do not pay a fee to be a member, and your IOC membership is automatically renewed. We will talk about that a little bit more on the next slide. We have well over 8,000 members now. These numbers are a little bit dated, but we have new members literally joining every single day from all over the United States, and over 800 contractors and 40 plus major categories. So whatever you all are looking to purchase for your organization, not just what we're going to talk about today on this contract, feel free to reach out to us. If you don't see the contract, but you think maybe we have it, or you're just unsure, reach out to us and we'll figure it out to see if we can help you. And maybe if it's something new, maybe it'll be something that our bid and specs team can look into to add. And we'll get with Brian on that if you guys have anything. So for our members, again, sorry, wrong hand. I'm being you, Nicolette. On this side of our screen, you'll see 4 different partners. So you'll see SACOG, which is in Sacramento, MARC, Mid-America Regional Council, that's Kansas area, Baltimore Regional Council, which is in Baltimore, and the Municipal Association of South Carolina down in South Carolina. They are all our partners. What that means is if you are a member of them, if you're in their region, and if you already become a member, you do not have to go through the IOC process to become an HGAC member. You are automatically a member. You automatically get the benefits of being our member, and you can use our contracts. If you're unsure, we have our list of current members on our website. You can look at that there. If you need to know if you are on this side of the screen, if you are any of these listed, anything from a court district, a utility district, all the way to law enforcement, fire prevention districts, and so on, that means a government entity or a nonprofit organization. If you are one of those, you can typically be a member of HGAC BUY. Joshua just dropped the link in the chat. If you are not a member, you can click that link and get signed up. It is a very short process, and we are moving all virtual. So you should be able to do that really quick. And again, it is free. Some of the advantages of being a member of HGAC BUY is obviously the cost savings. That's what we're all really looking for. So we negotiate and satisfy the bid requirements that you all would typically have to go through that would take you guys upwards of close to a year. We do that so that you can automatically tap into our contracts and purchase that would save you all that time and money that you would spend having to go through the procurement process. Also, we know that we all get audited, audits come up, and you may be missing paperwork when it comes to a lot of things. Well, we serve as a repository for all of the solicitation documents and some of your orders. So you'll be able to come back to us and get those from us. Additionally, this is something new that we added to our PowerPoint in our presentation. However, our LDC program that you will see on this side of the screen is not new to HGAC, and they are actually a part of our public services department. They offer financial assistance to Texas members and vendors. So for the vendors on here, this may be something you all may want to look into as well. If you guys need any financial assistance with any purchases, you can reach out to them. I believe somebody is putting their link in the chat right now for you. They have a 504 program for vendors, and for Texas members, they have the business loan fund that you guys can look into. So here is today's schedule for our open house. I'll leave this up here for a short amount of time. If you guys have any questions about HGAC buy or our LDC program, feel free to ask them now before we get started with our vendors. Once our vendors get started, Nicolette will go through and introduce them one by one. Feel free to take out your notepad and take some notes so that at the end of their presentations, you all can go into their breakout rooms and continue the conversation there, ask any questions that you have of them from their presentations. And if you see something that they present that you want to purchase, you can continue that conversation as well. That's all for me. If there are no questions, thank you all so much for attending our open house. Nicolette?
Yay! Round of applause for Marlena.
Great job, Marlena.
Thank you.
Awesome. So regarding a couple of links that are in the chat box right now that I just want to bring attention to before we start. I put a link in the chat box for future open houses if anyone is interested in those. So you can refer to that if you wish. And then Joshua has put links in the chat box about FEMA funding, because we do get a lot of questions about that. So you can use those links to learn more about how FEMA funding works and how we can work with you on that. And I believe that is all. I saw hands up, but they went down. Okay, great. But if you have any questions, please feel free to put those in the chat box at any point, and we'll get to them. But if no one has any questions right now, I will start with Consolidated Traffic Controls, and I believe that's Mr. Bobby Hale is going to present for us today. Bobby, are you ready?
Yes, I am sorry. I was trying to find my unmute. Thank you, Nicolette, and thank you to all who have taken time out of your day to attend this HGAC buy workshop. I'm Bobby Hale, Senior Vice President of Consolidated Traffic Controls. Consolidated has been in the business over 40 years, and we have a sister company called RTC Manufacturing. They build and sell school zone equipment. They do crosswalk systems, fire station warning systems, and many other things over the years. I was actually trying to do some research within our office to figure out how long we've been a member of HGAC buy. And the closest I can get is over 25 years. Yeah, it's been a great contract for us, and it's been it's such a great tool for the agencies to procure items off of. I want to give you just a brief overview this morning of our catalog and what we have to offer. And it's more than preemption equipment. So we basically do everything from the ground up on traffic signals, school flashers, everything. So let's go ahead and get started. We have a partnership with McCain. McCain is an industry leader in the newest approved standards for ATC cabinets and controllers and software, while still offering legacy equipment that meets standards that some agencies are still using that was adopted in the 70s. They also I don't have it on here, but they have dynamic message signs. They are energy efficient, cost saving, low maintenance. They brought them over, European technology over, and it looks like we're going to hopefully win a few DMS projects. So you'll start seeing a lot of those signs out across the US. The APC is a battery backup system. APC is fairly new to the traffic signal market. They've been in the IT space for years. They're kind of the industry standard. One of the nice things about this unit is it does a dual conversion. So it not only helps you when you're doing when your power's out, it also helps you when your power's on by cleaning your power up real nice. And the software is it's fully reportable. Everything can hook up to your system. You can go as fancy as you want or as basic as you want with the software to get reporting. We sell the McCain traffic signal heads. McCain is one of the top 2 traffic signal head manufacturers in the U.S. They offer different colors, different housings for the industry. They well known, and one of the things that we do is example for Louisiana, where we make the only optically programmable signal that is accepted in the state of Louisiana because we're the only one left making them. 3M used to make them years ago. We sell Electrotech LEDs, so their LEDs are, they can have an 8-inch and a 12-inch and pedestrian LEDs. They also have bicycle LEDs, which we're starting to see more in Texas, and I've seen some in California. So especially for bike lanes and advanced bike crossings, so becoming more popular. The LEDs come in a 12 volt, a 48 volt, and 120 volt variety. They also have the extended 15-year. They have an option for a 15-year LED, so you put it in once and it lasts nearly your whole career. It's pretty nice. Southern Manufacturing, which is on the right there, they do the ILSN signs, but they also, the way they do it is they're an American company. They do everything in-house, everything from the sign phase to the housing. They build the housing, and they provide CAD drawings for approvals on all the signage prior to being built, so the agency verifies everything's correct. They're built more for reliability and for ease of maintenance. So on the left is the Polera system. It is the APS system. So that APS system is an accessible pedestrian signal. Polera has made its mark in this industry with being Bluetooth capable and also being able to talk directly to the controller. We work with organizations like Lighthouse from the Blind on training them, and then we also use their input to make our button better. Polera is located in Greenville, Texas, and is the industry leader in the market. They also make regular mechanical push buttons that are ADA compliant but do not give the feedback. They've also, during COVID, because of COVID, they make buttons that have a little radar on them that you can wave in front of to actually activate it, so it's a touchless sensor. On the right is the FLIR detector, one of the models they offer. FLIR stands for Forward-Looking Infrared Radar. This is very popular in the military and aircraft industry and even nautical. Their portfolio has a solution for many problems. They can use video, radar, and thermal to provide detection at traffic signals or for vehicles or for pedestrians or bicycles. Which is kind of where they're focusing on, is the vulnerable road user like the pedestrian and the bicycle, and they do a lot of connected vehicle applications. They also provide software to run the analytics actually on the system. They also do CCTV, which is a closed circuit television for monitoring. And then they have VMS software, which is video management solution software. So on the left is, you see the signal head, and what's holding the signal head up is the hardware. Well, the hardware is at every signal head, just about. There's some type of hardware holding it, fastening it to the structure or to the span wire. We represent Pelco. Pelco is the industry leader in the traffic signal hardware. And in that center section there is another division of Pelco. It's called Pelco Structural, which is what we call the heavy steel or the signal poles and arms for the traffic signals. We're an exclusive dealer for those in the state of Texas as well. On the right is a screw-in anchor that they manufacture that keeps agencies from having to pour concrete bases, and those can be installed and removed with some type of drill rig. Next, I want to talk about the school zone flashers. So RTC, which I mentioned earlier, is our sister company. We provide a turnkey solution for school flashers. Our school zone system is utilizes a web-based software that receives cellular communications on the end. We can provide feedback and alerts to the system, to the users for this, to let them know when something's not working properly. We offer, this is a kind of the monitoring software. So we can monitor all the things on the left here. And on the right is kind of an overview of our web-based software. And I'll talk a little bit later, but that web-based software can also be used for driver feedback signs, high water systems, and pedestrian crossing systems. We can do any size, pole, color, style. We've done custom cabinets that go at like college campuses for pedestrian crossings or school zones, custom signs. We're a turnkey manufacturer, and really looking. We're trying to figure out what the customer wants and satisfy their need. Next, I want to talk about vehicle preemption. So GTT is the inventor of preemption. They developed the first system in 1968. The technology they used then was a light-based preemption. They have kept improving the technology over the years. Their original light-based system, they started to be able to identify which vehicle was coming through at a certain time. In 2008, they started using a radio-based system. The light-based system had its challenges, and so they started using a radio-based system. And then in 2012, they developed what's called a central solution, and that central solution was they developed it with New York City, and they started putting modems on the buses to do transit priority. And they went from the bus to know when the bus is, when it was coming to the traffic signal, to tell the traffic signal to turn green to get the bus through. The independent research has shown that we improve response times by up to 25%, we reduce intersection crashes by 70%. The system works with fire trucks, it works with police vehicles, it works with street sweepers, it works with transit, it works with freight, it can work with school bus. It has, it's a very versatile system, and they don't all preempt the signal the same way. Preemption is just a way to override the signal, let them know. Sometimes it's just asked for you to hold the green just a little bit longer so the bus can get through, or the freight truck or something like that. This is kind of an overview of how the system works. ambulance is what's using the GPS system. That GPS system is has an emitter that's talking to this thing right here, which talks to the cabinet. This one's actually going up through the cloud, coming back down and talking to the signal. So like I said, there's a solution for everything. So this is the RTC, pedestrian crossing system. The solution is able to, we can add whatever you're looking for. We have the Polaire APS, so for the impaired community, or for the feedback of the system, or for the touchless technology, or we have the FLIR infrared thermal imaging, so it will actually, it's touchless as well, and then can provide analytics. We can also add cellular modems to bring all this information back to you through that software that I discussed earlier. And we also have a driver feedback sign, and that driver feedback sign is comes back through the network. And for those that don't know what a driver feedback sign is, basically the speed limit sign that catches your speed and it sends that information back. And the cities can use that to do speed studies. They can also use that to get capacity of the intersection, the VOC type information. We also sell EtherWAN products. EtherWAN is a network design company, and they also sell hardened switches for our type of environment. They're a turnkey solution. They do everything from the planning, the design, the implementation, the engineering of the system, and can provide that. Or if you're having difficulty with your network, we work with agencies to find the problem and identify it and provide the solution. So we've done a lot of that. The RTC, we do one of the things they do as well is a gate opener. They can open gates remotely, and they also have a high water detection system. Southern Manufacturing, the one that has the signs, they also do CCTV and ITS cabinets. The ITS cabinets are what is typically on the side of the road for like the big signs where they'll have count stations on highways and things like that. We also sell the MH Corbin portfolio, and that's everything from a traffic counter just to count cars, to analyzers, to the highway advisory radio, which if you're driving, one example that you might see if you're driving to a town that says turn to AM 680 for traffic updates. They provide that system. Am I stuck? There it goes. One of the things about CTC too is we offer a full product installation. We do equipment training and evaluation. We also do intersection repair and cabinet troubleshooting services. We also have classes where we teach students what the equipment is at the intersection, what its function is, and then how to troubleshoot. Been very successful. TxDOT actually, we went around to I think last year, we went around to every district doing a class just for them to help train them in this thing. In closing, this industry is moving very fast. The buzzword of the industry is a smart city. So the smart city solution is what we focus on. What that means is everything has to be able to talk back to some device, either to the cloud, to the network, some way to get information, because at some point this information is going to go to vehicles. And we're very focused on keeping our customers future-proofed. We don't want you to buy something today and it be obsolete in 2 years. Thank you guys for attending. And if you have any questions, I guess we do that in the breakout room, Nicolette.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Great job, Bobby.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did not know you were the only people who could make traffic signals in Louisiana. I learned that today, so that's interesting. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next presenter, to Electrotechnics. And I believe that Mr. Harold Stone is gonna present for us the challenge. Yes.
Yes, you have the, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. The name of the company is Electrotechnics Corporation, better known in the industry as LTech. The manufacturer, innovator of traffic control systems with a focus on the pedestrian safety, whereas some companies are across the gamut of the industry, we focus on pedestrian safety, mainly mid-block crossing. We founded over 50 years ago. We're headquartered in the East Texas town of Marshall, Texas, which is basically on the Texas-Louisiana border, close to Shreveport. We service all 50 states, Canada, and the Caribbean. And we do distribution to the dealers, municipalities, state departments of transportation, and contractors throughout the country. Our systems are AC or solar powered configurations. We've had over 30 years experience in solar. And one of the things we do differently, we custom solar size systems. Some people, they have a one size fits all technology. We customize the size of our solar system for every location that we put in the market. Some of the strengths of LTech, our systems are known to be a robust, reliable system. That goes back to solar sizing per location I mentioned. We're flexible. We do the custom configuration per product specs. We don't go one size fits all, as I mentioned. We're unique. We have design and manufacturing capability in-house. We have in-house engineering. Some of our resources are the DOTs, consulting firms, municipalities, and traffic engineers throughout the country. We have our own new product development. We try to be forward thinking, continuously monitoring the market for the latest product trends and needs. And again, as I mentioned, we're solar size specific to location and load. And we'll keep saying it, one size does not fit all. LTech is known for their classic warning systems. And this can be either AC or solar powered, which is DC. And some of the traditional systems that we marketed over the years are our school zones. And you can have that with or without driver feedback radar sign. Pedestrian crossings, which is 3 different pedestrian crossings. You can have this traditional old-fashioned round beacon, which is 8-inch or 12-inch beacons, or you can have the RRFB, which is a rectangular rapid flashing beacon, and you can have the Hawk. Again, these are all available in AC or solar configuration. We also have emergency vehicle situations. We have 24-hour flashers, for instance, like a stop ahead, curve, pedestrian crossing. And we do flood detection systems, high water or a wet road. And as mentioned with the school configuration, we do driver feedback signs. Some people call them radar signs. And then we also have time sync. And classic and traditional systems are effective, but they're basic. There's typically no system remote access, no remote maintenance process, and no system health monitoring capability. This is a picture of one of our standard, the old-fashioned classic pedestrian crossing, usually used in a mid-block setting. And this has a couple of 2, you can see the flashers above and beyond the signage for a mid-block crossing, pedestrian crossing. This is a picture of the typical installation of an RRFB, rectangular rapid flashing beacon situation. And as you can see, this one is, you can't tell from here, but this is double-faced. It faces both directions of traffic. According to the MUTCD standards, on a 2-way road, you need to have one of these on each curb, one on each side of the road, and they need to be double-faced. If it is a 2-way road and you have a median, you need to have 3-pole configuration. You need to have a pole on each curb. And in that scenario, you can have a single face on each curb, but the median pole, the one in the center, needs to be double-faced. If you have a 1-way street, you can get by with just a single face configuration. And kind of some of the newer configurations. People are using, doing the vertical mast pole like this, but then they're also doing an overhead mast where they'll put some of the RRFBs overhead with some of the signage there also. This is a picture of our, what we call our second gen post-op RRFB. On the previous picture, there was a large cabinet, control cabinet. This next generation, everything is self-contained. You see the up top, the solar panel, which is right up in this area. Everything is contained in this whole setup that manages everything. You have the signage and you have the RRFB. This is all self-contained. I mentioned pedestrian crossing the Hawk. We have the Hawk available in AC, which is high intensity activated crosswalk. That's what the Hawk stands for. And you'll see this is double 3-light clusters. Again, according to MUTCD, you must have 2 of these 3-light clusters facing each direction of traffic. This is an example of a solar Hawk without the overhead mast. Again, this one's solar, so you see the solar panel, but you see you still have to have dual 3-light clusters. So you have one here and one here facing that direction of traffic. The other direction, you have that 3-light cluster and that 3-light cluster there facing that direction. Traditional school zones, this is a solar dual beacon. You see the dual beacon. Sometimes these beacons are one's above, one's below, and they're configured in many different ways. Again, this can be AC or DC. This is a picture of an emergency vehicle caution system. Again, this can be with double lights, can be with single light. You can also do this with a Hawk configuration. Again, this is usually for fire truck, fire stations. This is an example of a high floodwater warning system. And you can see this one even is configured with a gate. So you have the 2 lights that start flashing when it receives a signal from the sensor, warns of high water. And this one also has a gate that will lower and cross the road to block traffic from proceeding forward. You can also, have to mention this is a high water. You can also do one that has a wet road sensor, or just if the road gets slippery, you can have it detect that, and it will also start flashing the lights about a wet road. And then of course there's multiple variations of 24-hour warning. Again, you can have 1 or 2 beacons. They can be 8-inch or 12-inch. Again, these are, most of the 24-hour warnings are in solar because they're located out in a remote area where they don't have easy access to power. But again, these are configured per location, and we size the solar panel and the battery and so forth. So this will flash for 24 hours. Systems I've been talking about are the classic basic systems that we've had for years that are used in the industry. But as mentioned previously, the industry is moving toward cloud-based systems, and Eltech has an IO traffic system that uses a cloud-based, and these are embedded LED smart signs, but you can also get them in other configurations with our school zones and pedestrian crossings and so forth. The purpose of the embedded LED signs is basically a sign that has embedded LEDs around the perimeter of the sign. They provide greater visibility than traditional traffic signs. They're easy to install and easy to maintain. They're cost effective in manufacturing. They're energy efficient, so they help reduce energy costs. They are cell modem equipped where you can have remote monitoring and tell what the sign's doing at all times. This is an example of one of our IO traffic stop signs. As you can see, it's cloud-based. You see the embedded LED signs in the perimeter, and you have the solar panel up above, and the control box is right behind it. So this whole sign configuration is all self-contained, and it's basically just bolted onto a pole. I can go on a round 2.5-inch, standard 4.5-inch pole, or it can go onto telespar, or you can band it to any kind of pole that you have that you need to. This is also available, and this is a solar version, but it's also available in AC. And again, can be custom sized for per location. This is an example of the embedded pedestrian crossing. You can also use this where you could put the arrow sign underneath. You could use it as a replacement for an RRFB type situation for a mid-block crossing, or you can just use it to warn people that there's a crossing up ahead. This is an example of an IO traffic embedded LED sign. It's a wrong way sign. It detects wrong direction driving and starts blinking to alert the driver not to enter. It's been proven to reduce wrong way events by 38% by the Texas Transportation Institute. One of the neat things about the IO traffic configuration and remote monitoring, remote management of all device settings, schedules, and messages. So you can monitor this, control it from your office. No longer, you don't have to send out a technician out to each site to change the schedule and so forth, like for instance, on a school clock. It has automated email or text alerts when something is wrong with the system. You have historical and instantaneous data of battery, solar, and load voltage. Basically, you're monitoring the health of the system. You have reporting and analysis by day, week, month, and year. You can view your device on an interactive map, log all pedestrian activations, reduce maintenance. You remotely change LED brightness and flash patterns, and you have remote firmware update. And one final thing about our embedded LED signs is they are constructed where you can service them in the field. For instance, you have a number of the embedded LEDs around the perimeter of that sign. If one of them burns out, technician can actually take that sign down in the field and replace the one LED, versus some manufacturers where if one burns out, you have to replace the entire sign. Ours can be replaced each individual LED. That concludes our presentation, and we look forward to answering any questions in the chat room. Thank you, Nicolette.
Harold, thank you for that presentation. I did not know there were that many different types of traffic like configurations. But great. Yeah, Harold will put his information, or Stephen, one of y'all can put your information into the chat box so everyone can have access to it. But we are going to move on to our last vendor, that is Applied Information, Mr. Jeff O'Brien. Whenever you're ready, please go ahead and share your screen.
Yep, Harold will let go and drop out. I'll jump in.
Working on it.
Yep, thank you, sir.
That do it?
Yes, sir. I think we're good. Hey, I'm gonna stay off camera here a little bit just to conserve some of the bandwidth here at the house. I thank you for the opportunity to join you today. I represent Applied Information. We're a technology company. I'm the VP of distribution, and Bobby was talking a little bit earlier on Consolidated Traffic. I got a little history of working there way back in the day, and there's an old name Bob Wooten, who was one of the original developers of the HVAC system back in the early 90s, and I was there on its inception as well. So it's exciting to still be kicking around and participating as a part of HGAC. It's a great organization. I know it helps a lot of its membership, and it's a lot of fun to join as a part of the vendor side of the fence as well. So excited to be here today. Again, Applied Information is a technology company. We're headquartered in the Atlanta area, and we've got international offices in India and South Africa. We will have a ton of development. Again, technology kind of drives what we're doing. Bobby and Harold kind of been talking about that today in all of our presentations. So along with that, everything that we are working on allows us to focus in some core areas in transportation. You all have heard quite a bit about connected school zones and school zone technologies. We certainly operate in that area, utilizing cellular as a part of the way that we monitor and communicate to our devices. We also operate in the connected signal application, where we can drop a cellular device in a traffic signal cabinet and provide some Ethernet communications for health monitoring, for communications, standing in between the traffic signal cabinet controller and a signal system. So it's a nice way of allowing agencies to be able to put monitoring and being aware and connected to traffic signal cabinets out of the field. That same box that would go in a traffic signal cabinet also has the capability of doing preemption and priority. So that's buses and emergency vehicles, police cars, ambulances, fire trucks, utilizing that same cellular technology to provide levels of communication to ask for green lights at signalized intersections. Along with that, we have a number of different devices that, again, we use that cellular monitoring for on overheight detection, high water, things like wrong way detection, even dynamic message signs like the signs that you see on the side of the freeways. we have devices that connect into those to help them change the sign messages and do something that is this last bubble that you see here on the right, the connected vehicle side, sharing audible information with the smartphones that would have the Glance Travel Safely app, free to use, free to download, whether it's on the Apple or the Android system. So everything that we have that's deployed in the field has an element where those agencies can now qualify as a connected city, smart cities type applications as a part of their deployment. So that, I think that's the exciting part. As we talk with agencies around the country, that's a big part of what can we invest in that allows us to satisfy our application, communication, school zone flashers, wrong way, preemption, but yet still also allow us to do something in the connected vehicle world. And this bridges both sides of that with that single investment. So we're excited about that part of it. Let's see, I'm gonna jump into this next one here. The really important part about what we're doing with the preemption application is utilizing cellular as a part of that communication. So for us, any place a cell phone works, this system will work. So around the corner, urban canyon, long distances away, we're communicating to intersections, and the intersections are set up such that it will allow them to receive information cellularly up to 3 miles away. And that's something that we kind of dial down. So each of the intersections can hear that an emergency vehicle that you see on the right side here is asking for a green light at upcoming intersections. And again, this image just shows one at a time, but this would be happening simultaneously to multiple intersections along the route. So the vehicle's asking for green lights, it's communicating over cellular. It also has a redundant 900 megahertz communication that ensures that no matter what happens, that they're going to be getting green lights at the intersections that are upcoming. We also key in on left and right turn signals. So if vehicles are traveling through some tightly spaced signalized intersections that need to preempt around the corner or in special and unique situations coming right out of a fire station, we can condition the preempt request based on whether the left or the right turn signal is active while they're asking for those preemption requests. So there's some significant differences in the way that the systems operate out there. And Bobby talked a little bit earlier on GTT, and it's a common number across preemption where we're seeing somewhere between 20 and 30% improvement in the response times. One of the other benefits that we see that's a part of this preemption in general, and I support any city who's going to put some sort of a preemption system to help with the liability and reduce accidents and help improve the travel time segments. So the things that we see also that's beneficial to the agencies are that a lot of those vehicles are super heavy on emergency response. So there's a lot of acceleration, a lot of braking that happens. And when preemption is introduced into those solutions, that wear and tear on those brakes and drivetrain is significantly less as a part of their emergency response. So we might see 3 brake jobs in a 24-month period for some of these super heavy vehicles. What we're seeing is that somewhere between 1 and 2 brake jobs in that same 24-month period. So it's an investment that pays back on the service side on the application of utilizing a preemption system, as well as getting there faster, getting there safer, and helping to reduce some of the accidents that are a part of what happens when there's not any control at intersections when preemption occurs. I'm going to show a quick video here. I'm excited. We got a little bit of video to show you here. It's Alpharetta, Georgia, and what their experience was on doing a deployment on the system here. Can you all hear that okay?
I'm Scott McCullers.
Okay,
I'm the Fire Operations Chief for the City of Alpharetta. The traffic preemption system here in Alpharetta is installed on all of our traffic lights here locally. We have a transmitter on our apparatus which allows us to basically get a green light as we're responding on incidents throughout the city. The preemption system changes the light directly in front of them, but it also starts staging the other lights ahead of them so that traffic flows better. We've had the system online for about 6 months now, and during that 6 months period, we have realized about an 18% drop in our response times during that time frame. When you're gaining 10 to 12 seconds per traffic light on average, it really has an impact on the response time. We've transitioned from an older system that was infrared or line of sight to a newer system that's GPS based, and it seems to be working great.
So that's just, again, a kind of a quick overview, and the chief in that video talked about the 18%. They were actually transitioning from a pre-existing system, so they were actually adding some improvement to their travel times as a part of that application. Here's just a quick view of what glance the graphic interface looks like for a typical city. Shows traffic signals as a little signal icon, and see the fire trucks and little trails. Anytime something happens in the field, it leaves a trail behind it if there's vehicles moving, so we know when they're just traveling to go to the grocery store to get lunch, or on actual fire runs as a part of that. So there's a complete analysis, reporting, alerting, and alarming tool set that's a part of the system that lets the owners know that something's going on. If something's not working quite right, everybody gets some information about what's happening as a part of that system. The magic box that's in the traffic signal cabinet, you can see here on screen, also allows for the monitoring and maintenance of the traffic signal cabinet. And it provides simple information about whether there's actually power in the cabinet, whether it's doing some preemption. If the intersection's actually in flash, that's an important message that we might want to share on that Travel Safely app, to let people know before they get stuck at the intersection that the intersection ahead is actually not operating properly. And simple things like whether the fan in the cabinet is actually on and what the temperature is, a whole host of things that gives health statistics about what's going on in that particular cabinet. So again, just a neat tool that lets people know that something's alive, provides communication, provides alerts and alarms about what's going on in the system. Again, many of our systems too have knockdown sensors. So on the case where we're talking about school zone flashers or high water warning locations or runway detection, frequently those are posts and poles that are in the middle of the median or close to the roadside. So if those things get knocked over, we have a little electronic device in there that uses that cellular communication that says, somebody just knocked me over. And so it creates that alert and alarm that people can create the ticket to go out there and take a look and see what's going on. My final slide here is just a really short video that talks about the Travel Safely, the connected vehicle app, and how each of our tools integrate with that operation. So let me get this started.
Meet Travel Safely, an app that helps you get where you're going safely. Travel Safely works if you're driving, walking, biking, wheeling, scooting, or skating. Get real-time audio notifications.
Get ready for green.
Travel Safely works with local emergency vehicles, helping them respond to calls faster. Download the Travel Safely app today and join our community of users committed to making our roads safer.
So again, that was kind of just a quick cross-section of some of the tools. You saw that even on the emergency response vehicle, that we can broadcast to app users that there's an emergency vehicle on a run and what direction they're coming from. So oftentimes when you see in some of the larger cities that we work in, they're in urban canyons, super tall buildings, trees around, you hear it, but you have no clue where they're coming from. It's a nice way of being able to let people know where the vehicle is coming from and exactly what direction. So again, in closing, I appreciate the opportunity to share what Applied Information is doing. I'm excited to be able to support the membership here at HGAC and invite you to join us in the breakout rooms when those pop up. Thanks again, everyone.